Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the, What's Going On Here show. And yes, you're back at it again with What If Deku Was a Zombie? What happened in the last episode? Well, Deku was contemplating some things of how his attack was going to happen against the last survivors on Japan, because they're the only ones who can really stop him. And, also, something happened to one of his zombies, a mutated version of Twice, which was killed. How does he know? Because he felt it. The moment Twice died, he instantly knew that something was up. So, that's what happened there. And he also had a little bit of a conversation with Cadaver and himself, which Cadaver is the, pestilence. They gave him this virus ability that brought him back from the dead and brought him back as a zombie to begin with. So, yeah. And, in the end of the day, this is how we're going to get into our story. But before we do, this is just a little tiny bit I'm going to add. I know Zombie Deku is not a lot of people's favorite because it's been done way too many times. And I hope I did mine's differently, and I know the earlier episodes are hard to hear, or they just were so hard to hear because the music was like 10 times louder than my voice. I'm sorry about that. But if I have a way to download the video and remove the audio, then I could fix it by making it so then it fixes the audio or turns on, it makes subtitles better and easier to use, that type of stuff. That's all I have to say. And now let's actually get into the what if. Basically, what is happening currently in the story, Deku, at this point, is sitting there like, okay, I should begin my attack. But I have somehow realized this. Someone's trying to destroy Island, because a lot of my zombies have died. What do you think, Cadaver? And Cadaver says, it's logical. It makes perfect sense of why they would want to destroy it, since it has the most zombies, and if they get to any country that's bigger, more zombies for you. More filling, in a sense. But, yes, you need to stop them. But you can't prolong your attack. So why don't you do both before things get super duper out of hand and you can't do nothing? And Deku's like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense, honestly. I was really debating it right now. Heck, I was even going crazy. Then after Deku making his joke, that was kind of, really, honestly, I did a very bad joke. But still, after he did his joke, we go back in time. And we go to the perspective of Melissa Shield. And she already had a plan because she figured out what Deku was doing, or what was his plan. At least the bare bone minimum of what it is. So, this is what she is currently doing. It's her working on a communications device type thing. Basically a radio tower and a lot of other stuff that she has to currently work on. But while she's working on that, that's when little Eri comes into the room. And she looks up so innocently and says, hey, what are you working on? And why? And that's when Melissa looks at her and says, stuff to talk to other people. And Eri's like, oh? Is there even other people? And that's when Melissa kind of tears up, because that was the most adorable thing she could ever see in her life. And stuff. And she says, yeah, because there's a big scary monster planning on something bad, and I gotta let all the good people know that he's trying to do that so they can go stop him. And Eri's like, oh, okay. And while she basically walks away, Eri just walks away. And that's when Melissa continues working. When she finally gets the bloody thing working, that's when she contacts UA And, well, context Nezu specifically in his office, because the fact being that they are like the biggest survivor camp right now, along with Tetsu. Can't talk. My bad. I'm gonna leave this into the video. But like I was trying to say, with the other school, if you don't remember, it's Ketsu High. Hopefully I said that right. I just literally had to look it up. But yeah, those two together are like the biggest ones. A lot of the other schools have fallen pretty badly. So these are like literally one of the two last surviving places. And then also the airport, which is a last surviving places, because they had to destroy all the other airports because, well, number one, they couldn't risk it because of Deku's intelligence and learning things from anyone who's turned into a zombie. So they had to, and they're literally defending the last airport, so he can't do what he did to Island to anywhere else. But basically, when Melissa Shield and Nezu talk, it's a good sign. It's a really good sign. So basically, what they're both talking to each other about is a bunch of little different things right now. So what do I mean by that? Well, it's very, very simple. It's the fact being that this is what basically Nezu and Melissa Shield are going to talk about. So you start from Nezu of what he's going to say. So Nezu's like, oh, really? Is this what you... So this is what's going up. Huh. You know, in all honesty, I came down to that conclusion as well. But I wonder, how are you able to reach me from this distance? Or however far you are? Melissa Shield. And Melissa Shield says, well, number one, I'm surprised you know who I am, and I'm surprised you were willing to actually receive my message of, well, this type of way. Second of all, yeah, he's gonna try to use Island to attack whatever continent that gets close to. So if we can get a signal to the USA, I'm pretty sure we could actually warn them of what's gonna happen, and they can take out Island so no more people can die. And then Nezu says, you know, in all honesty, this is a really brilliant idea. Yes. But let me guess. You have a radio tower, and I know I have a radio tower. What is still preventing you? And that's when she says, well, in all honesty, Nezu, I do need one more tower to be able to alert the world, like the world of what happened to Island, and also I need it so I can boost the signal and have a more stronger chance and a more good opportunity for us to succeed than us fail. Nezu's like, fair enough. So are you basically asking for us to try to secure this place? This other radio tower? Melissa Shield nods her head and says, yes, that's what I need you to do. Because if this is not secure, we're gonna fail. Trust me. I kind of run the numbers, and I know you're a genius, and you probably did the same too. In like a few minutes, really. And Nezu kind of like moves his hand in the gesture of, aw, don't make me blush. As he says, you know, in all honesty, yeah, you're right, I did. But yes, I can do that. But I wonder, do you have any other tech that can help? And Melissa says, yes, I do. But currently right now, I don't have enough to spare to defend that place in the current time. If you can get your people over there to basically take it, hold it for a good amount of time, then I can send something to, well, watch it for you guys. And for all of us, really. But for now, I just need some people to hold it for a good period of time. If you got anyone good. And that's when Nezu's like, yeah, we do. Even your uncle All Might. And that's when Melissa Shield smiles. He says, wait, All Might's with you guys? And that's when Nezu's like, yeah, he is. He actually went to the island when you sent that distress call the first time, you know? Even though I don't know how you did it and how you got past the whole horde thing as well. and try to and everything. But trust me, he's going to be very happy to know that you're still alive, because he thought you died in that plane crash that happened. And Melissa Shield looks at Nezu and says, yeah, I would have died too, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. And please, try not to tell anybody, because I was told not to spread this too much, but there was an opportunity where I actually was dying, where I was going to die in that moment. But someone came in and saved me, and he felt off, really off. All for one off, But it wasn't all for one. It was someone completely different. And he told me something, that I had to kill Deku. Do you know who Deku is? And that's when Nezu kind of looks at her with a very, very intense face as he says, who told you this? And why do you want... Wait. So, hold up. Like, I'm genuinely trying to process this. And Melissa's like, I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. This really happened. Maybe there's like camera footage around that area that you could hack into and see what happened. I'm just telling you what I know. He told me that I had to kill this Deku. And this Deku has to die to save everyone. And in return, he will give me back my father. And I'm willing to do anything for my dad. And that's when Nezu's like, whoa, that is really intense in all honesty. But, okay. Kid, are you sure you want to do that? Like, genuinely. I believe your will, and I'm not trying to go against you at all, but are you sure you want to do something like that? Because, well, the head honcho zombie himself, he's not stupid. He was able to wound All Might by like doing a whole trick against him at one point in time. Trust me, if you're gonna do something like this, you gotta plan this out a lot more than you think. Then afterwards, this is what Melissa Shield has to say about that. And she says, I understand your concerns and all that, but I had this completely planned out. Trust me. And my method has a way to make sure that those communication towers don't fall. Then afterwards, there's like something else I need you to do. I have noticed a lot of zombie hordes forming around your guys' home, your guys' place of defense, and basically your sanctuary, and the other one for Tetsu High and stuff. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that, really. So just take my words of warning here. It's just they're forming really, really bad. Then Nezu is like, yep, okay, thank you for the warning, but we'll get your things set up so we can call America and we can prevent Island from, well, releasing any of those zombies onto any other country. We need to contain it here always. But very shortly you will receive another signal from me letting you know if we have cleared it up for you and got it operational and all that stuff. And that's when Melissa Shield says, all right, well, I gotta go, so out. And that's when the radio cuts off and Nezu's sitting there like, what a very smart girl. Hopefully we can get this done. So Nezu looks at his computer, looking at the roster of, well, survivors, heroes, and whoever else is there, deciding who to choose and who to send out for this. He knows that he can't send out certain members of Class 1A because certain events still happen and they witness a certain friend practically get injured and sadly die a few weeks later. If you don't remember who that is, it's obviously Kirishima. He sadly passed. He died in a certain event But yeah. So he looks through the roster of heroes that he still has here that are, not dead. So he just takes a moment looking through them, and he's thinking to himself, and this is what he's thinking: who to pick. We got a lot of really good choices here. Can't send All Might because you never know when his time limit runs out. And besides, him as a zombie would be horrible, really bad, on all honesty. Endeavor? No, that would not be a good idea, because we need the thing to still be intact, and he does big ass moves that would destroy it on accident. Or, well, in the worst scenario, set things on fire, drawing more zombies to that location. Ooh, to send. This is a really tough one today. Then, after Nezu says all that, he actually figures out who he's going to send. And it's gonna be Gentle Criminal, Lady Nagant. Yes, and how she got out of prison is like pretty easy. It's really easy to explain, but it just happened, okay? Trust. But anyway, those two with Eraserhead, and we're gonna send, let's just say, Kamari Woods, which is the guy who uses the wood as his power, because that's basically what it is. And they're getting ready to basically go over there and, liberate it from the zombies. But he calls them up to let them know. So he says the people's name and tells them to get to his office. A few minutes go by, and that's when we have them shown up at his office, and they're all about to talk to each other. And this is basically how it goes like. And when they all get in there, this is how they begin the conversation as well. So Aizawa's like, all right, Principal Nezu, you called, me and Kimberly Woods, but why did you call Lady Nagant and Gentle Criminal for? And that's when Principal Nezu's like, I called you all here for a good reason. You all have a little mission that I need you guys to do. This is time like no other. Like, we need to all work together here. And I know it's been a few years and you all don't like each other still, but we need this to get done now because, the zombies look like they're planning on using Island for an attack on, other continents. And right now, we can't destroy the island because, we got no way to do so and no way to get there anymore. And on top of that, we need to make sure that, the island gets destroyed, obviously, right? So what I need all of you to do is very simple. There's one more radio tower being protected by zombies. You need to take out all the zombies, recover it, and I'll send May over there to go fix it with her teacher, So that's what I need you guys to do. I need you guys to take out the zombies, fix up the radio tower, and our friend who is, having the other tower can contact America, let them know what's going up, and have them destroy the island. Because if they don't, the rest of the world is practically screwed. They are screwed because there's way too many zombies on that island for any real place to hold off for too long. So that's why this is timed. We need this done now. And that's when Mr. Aizawa says, you know what? I'm in. I can do this. Hey, saving more people, I guess, right? And Kimari Woods is like, in all honesty, yeah, I genuinely got this, man. I think I got this. At this point, I've been killing zombies for how many years at this point? Whatever. I got it. Lady Nagant's like, you know what? Fine. I'll do it. But if we win and we get rid of that island, I want to tick it off this place. And that's when Gentle Criminal is like, I am willing to do this because, In all honesty, it's just the right thing to do. And that's when Nezu claps his hands and he says, you know what? Fair enough. Yeah, Lady Nagant, if you do this, yeah, we'll get you a ticket out of here if you want. We're able to salvage at least a small plane, you know? So we were able to fill it up and everything. We were just debating on who to send away to try to tell more of the world what's going on. And sure, why not you? Like, no one knows that you were, you know. But hey, it's more smart. And since you're gonna do it seriously, when you get to wherever you plan on going, let them know to keep an eye on the skies or the shoreline, that type of stuff, you know? And she just nods in agreement. But that's when the team goes in they go down to the UA, garage, which, yes, they have a garage. They built it. It was built into the school now because they needed a better way to access vehicles and stuff. And, UA is massive in so many different ways. But anyway, that's when they get in an armored car and start driving down the streets, running over some zombies in the process, and some zombies trying to break open this car, but it's not intense ferocity though. It looks like Deku's not controlling them because they're just mindlessly attacking whatever makes noise or whatever moves across their vision or whatever's left of it at this course. But yeah, they continue driving as they finally reach their destination, but they don't get close. They don't get super close because they went to a moderate distance, climbing up a building that was nearby it. And that's when the whole team basically looks at binoculars, because they all had them, and they see across where there's a bunch of zombies, and even some that used to be former pro heroes or villains. And these things are just walking around twitching. Like if they're purposely guarding it for some reason. They don't know why Zombie Deku would want them to protect this tower or what benefit it gives them, because they just don't know. But they're willing to take this back from him because, he destroyed so much of the world, and nobody knows what's going on. They destroyed the world of Japan, basically, and stuff. But, that's when they start setting up, as Lady Nagant is like, you know what? I got you with sniper fire. But just in case, I feel like we should have someone watching my back. Yes, I'm a badass, and I used to be a former pro hero. But, I don't want to get jumped or overwhelmed out of nowhere. And then Chimera was like, you know what? Yeah, I got you. I'll watch your back and make sure we don't get sneaked up on. Keep an eye out to see if more zombies are coming. Then Gentle Criminal's like, very well then, I will go with Mr. Aizawa then. And Aizawa's like, just call me Eraserhead. Then Gentle Criminal's like, oh, very well, Eraserhead. Those two go, while Lady Nagant already starts shooting, take out the first zombie with a very unique bullet, where it gets into the skull, pushing the zombie over into other zombies, and then explodes, launching them off the walkway up to the radio tower. As that's going up, Mr. Aizawa and Gentle Criminal are going at it, where Gentle Criminal is basically warping the air, so when the zombies try to run at him, which there is some runners, they get launched back by the air being basically a trampoline. While Mr. Aizawa wraps his scarf around a few of them, tearing off some zombies' heads, or just outright, pulling out his knife to cut some of the zombies dead, getting the knife into their skulls, and they just drop dead. Because in the end, he can't risk getting infected at all, and he can't fully do regular hand-to-hand combat. While Gentle Criminal does have a gun. He has a gun. Because, in this situation, you need what you can get. So, he kind of lights up, shooting his pistol to kill a few while making the air be basically a trampoline for him to protect him against some that could overwhelm him if he's not fast enough. But they keep going while Lady Nagant takes out more zombies, and even while they all didn't realize there was a Nomu zombie charging in, but she had to use a very special bullet that she created, basically like armor-piercing rounds, from her hair, because that's how it works. Basically, she loaded up, shot it, and it blew out the Nomu's brains. It was so intense. The bullet went through the center mass of the forehead and came out on the other side, spewing out brain matter, just shooting out brain matter. And you might be wondering why she had to use a very high caliber round to kill the Nomu. This Nomu looks like it's been mutated, because it looked like the part where it would usually have its brain exposed is now covered up. So that's why she had to do what she had to do. But they continue, and they eventually clear out the zombies. And that's when they radio back to UA, as Mr. Aizawa says, "Yo, in all honesty, this was a little hard, but we got it secure. Send the engineers, I guess." And that's when these guys set up basically a defensive roadblock to make sure of anything. And that's when another armored car comes by, getting into the area where they were, and it, releases May and the teacher, which I don't remember his name. Just I know he's a pro hero and all that stuff. I just know he can fix shit. So just letting you know. So basically, they both work on the communications, and when they finally get it back up, May's like, "Hey, let me know if any of you heroes need me to upgrade some of your stuff, because we need that, right?" And they all look at her kind of unamused, because they're like, "Wow, really? This moment in time you're gonna ask that?" They're just like not really amused about that. But anyway, that's when Melissa Shield looks at her thing, seeing, because she's far away, by the way, and we got to her point of view. But that's when she looks and says, "Fucking finally, they did it. All right, trying to contact who can take out Island the fastest." And that's when she contacts the USA, telling them what's going up, and showing them evidence what was going up, because they're not going to believe however old Melissa Shield is, but they're not going to believe one person if there's no evidence. So what they do? Well, they shoot a bunch of missiles at Island, and right when the missiles are going to hit, it looks like they got shot out of the air. Anti-air missiles crashing into those missiles. So they try again, and they send stars and stripes. And what she does is intense. She literally uses New Order to basically, with her boys, by the way, beam their light and hit the supports of Island. And yes, just add in this, Melissa Shield send the blueprints of Island so they can easily destroy it. But like I said, she uses New Order to bend the light and hit all the supports in Island, causing it to go down while all the other zombies try to attack back. But again, Stars and Stripes does the whole giant version of herself with the air, crushing a lot of the zombies dead, preventing them from escaping in any form of way. And that's when Island sinks to the bottom, and any zombies that were alive went down to the depths below to get crushed by the water. Because the virus doesn't work on other animals, it just only works on humans. To a certain extent, at least. And that's when she leaves. And Melissa Shield gets the good news of what happened to the island, and she sits back, kind of sad that the island is gone, but happy that no one else is gonna be gone. And she calls Nezu, looking at him and saying, "Hey, we did it. We've prevented his plan." Nezu's like, "Oh, very well. We'll see how things go in the very end, right?" And Melissa's like, yeah, we will. And right when they were going to say more to each other, that's when Nezu's alarm goes off. Like, lights going red and everything. And he's like, oh, shoot, we're under attack. And he pulls up another computer to see what's going up. He's like, oh, shit. They're attacking with a huge horde of zombies this time. It looks like he's trying to wipe us out. And Melissa's like, oh, no. Luckily for us, just recall your team and stuff. I already sent some robots to go over there and, secure the area. So, yeah. But I will try to go and help you guys in many, many different ways, okay? Just trust me. It may take me a bit to get there. But the moment I'm there, I'll help you. And Nezu's like, all right. Fair enough. We'll try to hold off as much as we can, okay? See you whenever I see you. And that's when the communications cut off, and Melissa Shield has to get walking to something she created like a good while ago, like 1 year ago, when these events happened. But for now, we cut back to UA as they're hardly and tensely defending against the zombie horde. And then it's like a bunch of zombies, like zombie Mount Lady, like zombie everything. Even Deku is there. He is there with zombie Nana Shimura as they're going at it, ripping through people who are trying to defend UA with their weapons, with their guns. And he's, Deku's just using his, mutants to deal with these other humans as they're going at it. It's a big fight, and Class 1A is there. Who's, obviously alive, like the members who are alive. They're trying their best to help as well with the remnants of Class 1B. And they're just going at it. They're using whatever they got to fight against this zombie horde. And while that's going on, we cut to All Might looking very distraught, but he's still with May in the support course room because, those two got back faster than the other people who were securing the area because they had to be there for a little bit longer so the robots can get there. But again, she is, fixing up All Might's Iron All Might suit so he could get out there and try to help. Because at this point, All Might is still pretty weak. He is still weak. And he doesn't want to waste his regular self for, overextending. But luckily for him, ironically, his worst nemesis, All For One, is actually fighting against the zombies with some of the villains who are also fighting against the zombies as well. Which, basically, they're just having to have to go at it, And luckily, since I remember that Tomura Shigaraki's not dead, he is decaying some of these zombies pretty easily, pretty quickly, pretty fast, cutting them down and all that. While All For One is using big attacks to, take out a huge amount of the horde until Zombie Deku gets Shigaraki ripping off his throat saying, now you will experience what death is. And when Deku says that, he doesn't bite or infect Shigaraki. He lets him bleed out. He lets him die. And when Shigaraki tries to get back at Deku by grabbing him at all, that's when another zombie just grabs the hand, ripping it off so he can't, stop Deku, and Shigaraki bleeds out and dies. All For One sees this. He hates that happened, so, he uses an attack on Zombie Deku, which Zombie Mount Lady gets in the way as like a block. But since she's a zombie, she does die, but shields Deku in the process. So, her upper half of her body is just gone. It is gone. It's disappeared. And they continue their fight. Like the whole UA thing continues their fight against the zombies. And right when that happens, we're gonna cut it off here. Yes, I know. You're gonna be mad at me for cutting it off so early, right? But again, it has to be done, so, very sorry. But don't worry. Trust me, the next part will come out very soon, I think. If I remember right, it should. and not this month, but probably next month. But yeah, when it comes out, it's going to be the end of Zombie Deku, so his story is going to end, and this will be the final bit of the story, unless I want to do it again with a different perspective or whatever. But that's all I have to really say. Like, if you liked it, like, subscribe, all that junk, and comment anything down below. Let me know if you want me to do anything better with Zombie Deku or do anything else with him. That's all I have to say, and peace.